So we will call to order and welcome everyone to the June 24th regular council meeting. We'll start with the acknowledgement of treaties of peace and friendship. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq peoples. This territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship, which Wolastoqiyik, Mi'kmaq, and Passamaquoddy peoples first signed with the British Crown in 1726. The treaties did not deal with surrender of lands and resources, but in fact recognized Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqiyik title and established the rules for what was to be an ongoing relationship between nations. Thank you, Walalam. Next is the oath of office. We do hereby accept the office of council and will diligently, faithfully, and impartially discharge to the best of our ability the duties of the office as may be imposed upon us by law. Next is the moment of reflection. Deputy Mayor, do you want to take that, or?
Yes. Yes, we have one person, William Corrier of Lorne.
So we'll have a moment of reflection, please. Thank you. Next is the adoption of the agenda. Do we have any changes? If not, can we get a motion?
M 2024-06-24-56, that the agenda be adopted as presented.
I think it was 53, but that's okay. Do we have a seconder? All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Just give me 1 second. Any statements of conflict of interest can be registered with the clerk. Next is the adoption of minutes. This is from May 21st, from both the regular and COW. Can I get a mover, please?
M 2024-06-24-54, that the minutes of the Committee of Whole Council meeting of May 21st, 2024, and the regular meeting of May 21st, 2024 be adopted as presented.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Do we have any business arising from the minutes? Presentations, petitions, and delegations, 5.1. Presentation from Clifford Junkus of the Royal Canadian Legion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to, we're here because I want to take acknowledgement of all the work the Village of Baldoon been doing for the Legion. So on behalf of the members of the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 77 Durham, Baldoon, I'd like to present the Village of Baldoon Council a certificate of appreciation.
Thank you very much, Clifford. Sure. Let's get a picture. Yeah.
Come on, Angela. Nope, I'm not council. I'm good.
I'm also going to allow any council members who wish to speak to our association with the Legion. Go ahead.
I want to thank you all. You guys do a lot of amazing work in the area. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and thank you for the award.
Anyone else?
Yes, thank you again. Your Legion is stellar. It really is. You guys do a lot. Your Ladies Auxiliary is beyond. That's right. They work extremely hard to make sure that it's sustainable. So thank you very much.
If I may, Your Worship. Just a comment on Comrade Junkus here. Comrade Junkus is the president of our Legion, and he has been for the last 9 years. He has done an outstanding job and has put our Legion in a very positive position. You know, we've been fortunate that our wives have become involved with the auxiliary, and the auxiliary has been the backbone of the Legion. You know, the reason that we look at this petition or this presentation is that very few councils are involved with nonprofit organizations like they should be. This council has recognized the contributions that the Legion makes not only to the citizens but to the area. You know, I speak now as the district commander of all Legions in northern New Brunswick. I have mentioned it at every single presentation that I have done that Legions must and should be in direct contact with their all local councils because they are the backbone to the community. You know, we enjoy the lifestyle we do because of, you know, what these veterans have done. You know, with that said, you know, I believe that this council has recognized what the Legion does in our community. You have contributed that has put us in a very strong financial position through dinners and suppers and supporting our Legion. So I have stressed this at every presentation I've made that in northern New Brunswick that you know, Legions must be affiliated with the local councils. So certainly on behalf of, as President Junkus mentioned, it certainly is greatly appreciated by our Legion in the relationship and your contributions to our Legion. But you are an example of what council should be and the contributions that, you know, we're a nonprofit organization trying to raise funds to basically stay alive. We are the envy of all Legions in New Brunswick. There are 70 Legions in New Brunswick, and I can tell you right now, we are a leader among the groups of all northern New Brunswick, and that is attributed to the leadership that our president provides, and that our Ladies Auxiliary are second to none in northern New Brunswick. They have been the biggest contributing auxiliary in all of New Brunswick for the last 15 years that I'm aware of. So they do an outstanding job and they deserve to be recognized, and the fact that this council works with our auxiliary to you know, support our Legion should be recognized, and we hope that you recognize that these presentations are not ones that are made lightly. They are designed for, you know, the people who support our Legion and the people who have an active interest in what's happening in our Legion. So certainly on behalf of the district and again on behalf of our president, thank you very much for your support and your contributions to an organization that does an outstanding job in our community.
Thank you, and I'll add some last words. Thank you very much for your presentation, and you guys, I think Councillor Burke hit it on the head when he said, you know, any Legion members I talk to from outside of Jacket River Beldoon, they always mention how well this Legion does. Like, it's almost a model for how Legions who are, you know, financially strapped or nonprofit find a way to keep it going. So nicely done, and your relationship with the community is really one to be admired. And so with that, to our next presentation, which is Yannick Thériault of the Chaleur Bay Watershed.
Well, thank you everyone for having me here tonight. We'll just do like you hear me well? Yeah. I'll just do like a presentation on the organization, what we do, what's the structure, what our strategic planning, and what are the difficulties that we have as an organization. So I'll go ahead. So the Shadow Bay Watershed Group, it's a nonprofit organization that was created in 2000. It began with a lot of other watershed organization that was established also in New Brunswick in 2000. It was an initiative from the village of Ngadu and the government of New Brunswick with the Environmental Trust Fund. So it was dissociated from the village of Ngadu in 2016. And this is the representation of the territory where we do some monitoring and in the watersheds. So we have 6 main watersheds. So we have like the Millstream, Ngadu, Elm Tree and Beldoon River, and the Jacket River, Nash Creek, Louison River, and finally Benjamin River at the end. So that's the representation of where we have worked in the past and where we have some data. So this is the planning initiative that we did. So in 2021 we produced a document, a strategic plan. So it just resumed the vision of it does a summary of the vision of the organization. So basically it's ensuring the integrity of buffer zone, rivers, tributaries, aquatic and riparian communities in our watershed. It's also raising awareness among members of local communities so that they can participate directly or indirectly in maintaining the health of our natural heritage. And like the slogan of the watershed is like working together to preserve the health of the Shadow Bay watersheds. So this is the representation of our board of directors. So we have 6 citizens from Belle Bay, and we have 2 councillors, one from Beldoon, one from Belle Bay, and 1 citizen from Beldoon that we had Ron Bugeaud, but he recently went out of the board of directors for personal reason. And yeah, so in 2023 we did some strategic planning with the board of directors to identify which area that we should prioritize. So coastal area, community outreach, water quality monitoring, climate change. So we did some strategic planning in August 2023. Another process that we engaged in May was the watershed management plan process. So we had 2 events in May to introduce the process to the community and the partners. So it's basically a process that will go through 2023 to 2026. So it implies of meeting with different partners like from different sectors, industry, education, community, organization, and First Nation. So different partners, and identify some objective and action that we can make as a community to help the watershed the watershed's state in the region. This is our effort on the ground. So last year in 2023 we did some river monitoring. We monitored 19 points in the watershed, so they are identified in the map there. We have some river samplings also. So we sampled phosphorus and E. coli, a couple of the rivers, including the Belgian River, and the results were good. The installation, we installed also 23 temperature data logger to, make an analysis of if the temperature is exceeding 20 degrees, so it can, we can have an idea if it's going through the danger threshold of certain aquatic species. We also worked on the Beresford Salt Marsh. We did a survey called Wetland Ecosystem Service Protocol. So it implies of going on three spots in the salt marsh in Beresford that are identified in the map there. So that survey implies doing some sediment evaluation, observing different wetland characteristic, and entering all of that in the values of an Excel workbook. So, and this will compare all the other wetlands and in New Brunswick, but also in Nova Scotia. So every wetland that was evaluated in the past are, in this tool. So it does a comparison between them, and it's you can see the result on the left in the small sheet there, and it's pretty higher, a very important wetland comparing to the others in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. We also do some monitoring of species at risk. So the maritime ringlet and the bank swallows are two species that we monitored in the region. The maritime ringlet, it's a small butterfly that contains 10 population in the world, and it was classified among the highest ranks of precariousness according to the Quebec government. So it's really endangered. And between 2012 and 2023, the population declined by more than 85% on the Peters River Marsh. So it's a tough situation. The bank swallows, we lost three. We started the monitoring in 2021, and since then we lost 3 colonies. But we say lost, but it can go from a place to another. But there was one in Petit Rocher, Beresford, and in Nigadoo, and they were not there in 2022. And it's mainly because of the riprap that we put on the coast, because it's directly their habitat, so it's destroying the habitat. So it's one of the reasons, but also a pesticide used in different industries and different countries also, because this species goes to the south of America during winter. So that's the monitoring. So the challenge for the organization is also it's financing, employee retention, and the stability of the organization. So finance-wise, it has been dependent of the ETF, the Environmental Trust Fund, for several years. It started with the Environmental Trust Fund, this organization. But it depends on that for rental of the office, means of travel, salary for the project coordinator. But in 2024, for the first time in 23 years, there was no funding from the ETF. But with some, finally, we managed to have 40,000, so the half of what we asked in the past. So the financial partners and collaborators, so that's an overview of what we have for funding this year. So we have different partners like GINU, Nature and Bee, the New Brunswick Wildlife Trust Fund, the Foundation for the Conservation of the Atlantic Salmon. So it's a total of $109,000. Yes? Yes. This one?
So Nature NB, what's the parent organization of Nature NB? Is that a private organization? Is that a
That's-
provincial?
It's provincial, but it's a non-profit, and the fund comes from the federal government, the climate change fund.
Okay, that's a federal fund?
Federal fund, yes.
Okay,
So we are subcontracting by them for doing work in the region because they have a big project to enhance the quality of the coastal zone in New Brunswick.
and the ETF stands again for
Sorry?
Environmental Trust Fund? Is that Environmental
The
Trust?
ETF, yes, Environmental Trust Fund. Yes.
And that's federal as well, or is
That's
that,
provincial.
it's provincial? Okay,
That's the only government fund, like straight to the government. We do it's not a New Brunswick Wildlife Trust Fund also. It's a part of the government.
so the 40,000 that you mentioned that just came, that was
Yeah,
the
the
Environmental Trust Fund?
Yes.
Okay.
So next it's the employee retention. So, with a small budget, we don't have any benefits. There's no very competitive salary. So we had an increase of $3 since 2016 for the project coordinator. So, and since 2009, there was a total of 7 project coordinators. So it's a change every 2 years. So it's a problem of, stability. And the last 15 years, only 3 years involve a full-time environmental technician or project agent. So we have trouble finding another and having a stable other employee that can support the project coordinator in the different tasks that it's listed here. So the bookkeeping, management, board meetings, report writing for the employee management, and all that, the data management and website management, grant application. So all of these tasks need to be supported by another employee at least. So that's the employee retention part. The stability of the organization, for years it's been just 11 months a year. So in the month of April we don't work because we don't have enough budget to go through all the year. So we changed office 3 times. We went from Nigadoo to a different office in Nigadoo, and now we're in La Barque in Pointe-Verte. The funds are vary from year to year, so there's no certainty in all the contracts. So even this year, I almost lost my job if I didn't put effort in the past years to find other source of funding. So there's also the impact of inflation. Since 2016, the average income that we have per year was $65,000 to $70,000 annually. So it remains basically the same, since 2016, except of the past 2 years where I worked hard to have other source of funding. And in 2024, we fired like an employee because we didn't have the certainty of having the ETF fund, and now we have the ETF fund. So we had the chance to re-engage, rehire the employee that we fired. so that's a good thing. It's someone that has a master in science, water science. So she will be a good use to the organization. The next is the importance of watershed organization. So it allows municipality to have unique activities that benefits nature and community. So example is the stabilization of Uwald Park in Bathurst. That was some effort that we did there with Nature NB with the Healthy Coast program. and also the Kin Petit Rocher, they did a tree plantation there. It allows also for oriented and beautifying approach to landscaping. So, having more trees and more indigenous plants, it helps, beautify the area. The production of awareness posters, so we have a lot of different posters available. The act we act as a link between environmental organization and government bodies. So sometimes we have some quicker contacts in terms of different situation. Even if it's with the community, sometimes we can do this role also. We provide a database on the ground field. So we have a lot of observation on the ground. Since 2010, we did an inventory of all the rivers. So we have a lot of photos, and data. So we allows municipal decision to be oriented towards an environmental awareness if the consultation is done regularly with the Chalabre watershed. So it gives like another view of the municipality. So that's the other collaborators that we have, both Belle Bay and Belledune, and Gestion H2O, the New Brunswick Environmental Network, Port of Belledune, Point Daly, and Labatt. The contrast monitoring that we do, we do a lot of work on finding invasive species like Japanese knotweed, zebra mussel. So sometimes it's species that can create problems in the municipality, especially the zebra mussel if it blocks the water source. But in the area, there was two rivers that was identified to be prosperous for the zebra mussel, but there was none in Belledune, I think. Protection of drinking water resources. So an example at the town of Belle Bay, there was a place where ATV and trucks were passing, and we alerted the municipality, and the next year, they put some rocks, and the same year they put some rocks and stopped vehicle to pass through it because it was just upstream where they take the water from for the municipality. So it was important, and we do some microbiological analysis in E. coli and phosphorus. Interception of illegal waste area. So we didn't have any specific waste collection program, but since 2016 we collected approximately 4,500 pounds of waste in the riparian area. So it's equivalent of a 29-foot camping trailer. So that's like without any specific effort on that. So I just imagine having a waste collection program, how much waste we could collect out of the riparian zone, and some in the rivers. A stable watershed organization. It's a director, a technical project coordinator, and a communication coordinator. So 3 full-time employees and a part-time job like environmental technician and a summer student. So that's what I view as a stable watershed organization, and it continues with that. With that resources, we could continue to have a presence in important habitats and priority area in the watershed. We could have education program in school, water quality testing programs, so have more testing in the region, more green infrastructure that can improve the biodiversity, the runoff water retention and filtration, and temperature control. Like the photo you see on the right, it's a rain garden that was did in Shediac Bay, so it all helps increasing the biodiversity, and also it helps filter the runoff water. Plus, we can have also more information for waterfront owners' property, so they can, manage better their property, so that can be more respectful for the rivers and nature. And we can also be more efficient in data management and more accessible to the community for decision making. So, yeah, so that's all for me. Is there questions regarding the presentation?
Council, any council have any questions?
If not, I'll let my president Bruno Poirier talks a little bit.
I just have one.
Yeah.
So the data that you collect,
Yeah.
is that on behalf of any one particular government department or organization, or is that one that's just, it's the watershed's domain and to be shared with whomever needs it or wants it?
Yeah, likely it would be for like the communities to be used, but right now we don't have like the resources to like. Before it was on our website, the website went down, so now we have to like we have the data like in Excel sheets, but we need to have more resources to give it to the communities. There's reports available, but yeah. Nobody read the reports, and we need to, be more. I don't know how to say it, but yeah, we need to put the data in more a way that the community can understand it and view it visually. But yeah, it's an ongoing process. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I just have a quick question. For example, if they're, like, you test our waters, like our two rivers, the Beldoon one and the Jack River one, if you found any issue with the water, would that report be forwarded to our CAO, for example, that he could forward to us? And what could be, I suppose it would be a different period of year that this would happen, because, when the water flow is high, maybe there would be E. coli in it. So
Yeah,
are the reports forwarded to our village?
Yeah, the reports. If there's a high data of E. coli, they will certainly be forwarded to the council. But the last year it was. But if you need the data, I can send you the data.
Okay,
And yeah,
thank you.
no problem.
Mr. Mayor, I could thank you again for the invitation. Like Yannick said, my name is Bruno Poirier. I'm the chairman for the Watershed Committee for Bidishara. The question you ask, it's something definitely that Yannick in the next few months could discuss with London and look at, especially with all the active accounting system that you're probably setting up, especially if you have a computer logistic program that you're developing, those kind of data could be added also there in the future. I know Belbé is looking at something like that we would put our data instead of having our own system to have it in their system where they can have access to it. So that could be something that we could definitely open conversation. We don't have it anymore on our website, but it's all kept, it's all at the office, ready to be put somewhere. But since we knew that municipality had to set a system of active accounting. I think that's how we do comptabilité active. Donc, we thought that, let's wait for that. Let's see what kind of system Belbé and Beldoon is setting up. And let's, instead of double doing that, the data putting someplace, let's wait and see. So as Yannick mentioned quickly, what I want to say, adding to the presentation, it's you saw some challenge that we have. I was put on the board of the Watershed Committee in 2022 by Mayor Garobé, because I was a councillor in Beresford at the time. I think that nobody in the council wanted to be on that committee. That was why I was named there at the time. And I realized that with the group that was there, that we had three big challenges. One, organization. Like you see, Village of Nigadoo had the committee under their arm until 2016. They did put a bylaw at the time. I don't think it's even incorporated. We're trying to figure out right now. But we need to update it. Especially, we did the AGM at the end of summer, September, October 2022. We changed the bylaws to put it more citizen engagement committee. So that's why there's 7 citizen. I'm one of them right now. I'm no more a councillor. And we put 2 elected members. So basically, it's more citizen that want to be involved, and we keep link with the board council with 2 councillors. Noted that the AGM now on, it's the members that can participate and vote at the AGM is the board of director and both elected council, Belledune and Belby, all of them together. So all of you can vote at the AGM. So if we need to change the bylaw, adjust it, you'll be there. We had to. Usually the AGM is in the spring. We push it for the fall. Challenge that we had noticed when we joined the committee in 2022 is the accounting verification and revision was not necessarily update. Right now we have a company that's looking at it to put us up to date, and we didn't want to do an AGM without last year finance report review. So we will say, okay, let's wait and let's be able to show all the numbers. So the structure, as you see, the operational has been slowly put in place. We still need to organize operationally. That means the staff, like Yannick said, every 2 years we lose knowledge like him and we have to start all over again. We've been lucky since Yannick started with us in 2021, so 1 year before. All those partners that you saw, all those grants, I would say 75% of them are new, even 80%. It's something that he got involved. We're really happy that the ETF grant was allowed, $40,000. It's a lot for us. That allowed us to stabilize for the moment this summer the staff, the renting space that we had. We had somebody that we interviewed 2 months ago that we had to call and say, look, we won't be able to hire you. That grant from the province arriving made us that we have a call to that person that Yannick says a water quality specialist. So she's moving in the region, and she's moving in the region with the hope to stay here permanently. So we need to structure our operational. We would like to have also a communication promotion coordinator that could do work, education, information in schools, in the community, organizing all kind of event, getting the population involved in the watershed program that we have. But for that, we need to stabilize the finance. Right now, we're going grant to grant, and as you know, most of those grants, you only receive the money after you send the report. So sometime in the past, we witnessed as a board, Yannick have to say to himself and some other staff, well, don't cash your check right away, because we're waiting for the money to come in. The report's sent on time, but it's not always been transferred right away. So that's why we cannot keep staff. Since 2016, we changed so many times. We're lucky enough right now to have a young specialist like him, but like I say often, a young father starting a family, we don't want to lose him. So for that, I'm asking you, Mayor Arsenault, if we could in the next few weeks start a committee, working committee with you, myself and Yannick, with members that you would name. We're going to start next week a conversation with Belbé, with the councillor that's on the watershed committee, Marie Larivière, and the executive director, Paolo Fangemi, just to look at how Belbé could support financially the watershed committee. It could be financially, it could be in kind. There's a different way. So we would like to be fair with Belledune, and we wouldn't go and ask more money or different things for Belbé and Bindu. We want to be fair, but we would like to be able to start a conversation also with and then after that, something could be present in the next few months to the council itself to stabilize our watershed committee, because it's our watershed committee. And what I said to the Council of Belle Bay, I'll say to Belledune the same thing. It's how much important is our water, really. So, also, as you know, your Chief Administration Officer, your staff, you have access to our specialists. Is there. Don't hesitate. If you have any question, you think that we could help, that's why they're there. We're going to add a new resource pretty soon. She should be arriving in July. So if there's something, and often we have other partners that we can answer. If we don't have the right answer right away, we can search and help you. So that's what the Watershed Committee is for, is can we help, can we partner? But for that, Belle Bay and Belledune will have to step up and financially help us, because we need a base operation funding, so we don't, go month to month, say, okay, do we have the project? Do we have if we have a cut 1 year with the federal, the provincial, whatever, it's not sustainable. We need to put it safe.
Maybe just a suggestion. Could you formally document and write your request?
Yeah.
And everything that you are requesting and needing from the village that we would need to take into consideration, would you, and send that to CEO Lee?
Yeah, we will send that right away, probably tomorrow during the day, or the latest on the Wednesday, you'll receive that.
Okay. Does that sound sensible, council?
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
You have a representative from Belle Bay Council. You are requesting one from our council, or there's already a representative?
We already have Cynthia.
Okay.
Right now, yeah.
And you also said a citizen
Yeah,
from
right now,
Belledune?
yeah, that position right now is open, and I think that you were looking
Okay.
for some representative
Okay.
as a citizen to be there. We had a great person. He was a retired employee from fishery in Ocean and Fishery, Canada. So, but it's too bad for personal reason he had to resign. So I'm sure there must be a good citizen among them. Like I said, it's all based on the citizen engagement. That's why we believe it's going to be stronger if it's based by citizens that want to take care of their habitat.
One more, do you have a question? Just one more data question, if I could ask. So you take tests and you create data from those tests. If you find, let's say in a water sample, in a number of tests, questionable data results, do you need to pass those through the Department of Environment before you can pass those on to any other agency?
They're directly sent to the DELG through RPC. It's especially this year, the ETF fund asked specifically to send the samples to RPC lab because they are linked with the DLG, so they have directly the data.
Did I understand ELG?
DLG, Department of
Okay,
Environment.
so that's the provincial department that you would relay your data
that
results.
works with the ETF fund and us. And
Okay. Yeah, okay, thanks.
But since we have a link, a connection, it's something that we should automatically also lift the flag for the municipality of Belledune. Last council in Belle Bay, they asked us, because they heard that at one point we were looking to merge with the Regional Commission Service or municipality itself. And my answer is, there was a conversation before I joined to stabilize it by joining the Regional Service Commission. But the group in 2022 that was there, and the group last year, we decided that the importance of have ethical neutrality from local government or any kind of it's important for the perception of public to see that the science that we have, the researchers we have, are independent. So that's why we said no. That would have been a fast way to secure the organization, but I think it's too much important for the public to say, well, yeah, the data, the report they're giving, they are under the direction of the mayor of the council. It's not the case. It's a citizen-based community, non-profit, and it's totally neutral.
I don't know if any other council has any questions, but I would say just one last remark on my own behalf. So I have been in one of your meetings, I think it was in April, and it's the most impressive, one of the most impressive meetings I've ever been a part of, seeing like the communication that you had between the people who were there. And I thought you guys, for what you do, and I think we all agree, water is one of the most important, if not the most important, thing that we could be concerned about as a municipal council. That you really, from what I've even seen just from one meeting, you do terrific work. So thank you for that, and I appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up is statements by members of council. And the only one that I see on there right now is the one that I put on concerning update on dangerous and unsightly premises and the related appeals committee. So just get a sense in the community as a whole, and I think felt this in the last council too, is not the only council that there's a frustration, there seems to be a frustration with the speed and the process for determining unsightly premises, and then once they've been determined, getting something done in terms of finding a solution to whether that premise gets cleaned up and gets fixed up and to code or is taken down. And I think it's genuine, and I think it's something that we need to address. And I know on council we've had meetings, everyone's on board with trying to get these premises cleaned up and fixed up. I don't think we're going as quickly as we should. And there's probably a very good reason for that, I'm sure. In fact, we're dealing with one when we talk about the appeals committee. But surely we can do better in terms of getting these premises highlighted and then dealt with. There has to be. So I think we, for the rest of our mandate, we really need to put a push on getting some of these places fixed up or torn down. And so the appeals committee, I know we've talked about, the impression that I received was that the lack of an appeals committee was a major hindrance. And I think we've started on the road to trying to complete and getting an appeals committee. But I wanted to ask CL Lee if you could give an update on that so we can get people who are watching, and maybe they can spread the word that, number one, we are trying our hardest to get some of these premises dealt with, and two, we're going to be able to do a better job in the future because this is one hurdle that we're going to be able to overcome.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely provide an update. So, yes, council had started a process with some properties that were identified. And just to kind of high level, we do have a resolution on the agenda for a property that does need to be actioned. So I might speak to this a little bit more as we get to that, but I'll, very high level so that the public has an idea. When there are properties that are identified, however that is. So first of all, council has the ability to identify properties, but ultimately it's actually the Service Commission who is your bylaw enforcement officer. So the bylaw enforcement officer has the capability of going out to the community and identifying areas. They can receive complaints from people, from residents, and go out there and evaluate it. And they can actually start the process. I mean, ultimately, that's really what they do, is they begin that process. the one that we have on the agenda was really actually started by RCMP. It was the RCMP's involvement that really pushed that file along. However, yes, the mayor is correct. When an order is issued, one of the legislated components of the order that's issued is that the resident has an opportunity to appeal. So looking at the files that council was working on previously, and the 6 orders that were issued, 5 of them received an appeal. And so the real bottleneck for that is that Beldoon did not have an appeals committee in place. We have advertised it. I will admit that we're definitely passive on it in the sense that we've put the information out and we are requiring for interested residents to submit resumes to us. Where we are on that is the recommendation is that we need a committee of about 4 people. And we have 2 confirmed right now. Now, I don't think that that's good progress. I think that there's definitely, if we had the resources, we'd be investing a lot more into that. However, we do have 2 confirmed names. Being realistic about the timelines on this, we're still going to need to build another group, at least 2 more names for this committee. And then there is training that needs to be done. Right, so our municipal lawyer he's very, very versed in dangerous and unsightly. So he's going to need to do some training with that committee to ensure that they fully understand what their roles and responsibilities are, because there is a lot of power that goes along with it. There really is. So a very high level update. That's where we are right now with the appeals committee. We have posted that out several times. We'll continue to do that. We do have a list of names of people who could potentially be interested in it. We haven't had any success when we're talking to those people in getting them on board. But like I said, we do have 2 confirmed names. We'll continue to work on the other 2. And having said all that, and maybe I'll talk to it a little bit later in the on the agenda there, Mr. Mayor, but part of the process, as we're learning it, we're starting to recognize where the bottlenecks are and what the process is for eliminating that. So, I'll speak to it a little bit further, but there is one file that did get moved along relatively quickly, a lot faster than the other ones, because we kept on top of it and we had the people that were involved communicating with each other. And that was really what drove that file forward. So I can touch on that later on, but that's, unless there's anything further, that's kind of an update on where we are with the appeals committee.
Council?
If I may, Your Worship. Back in 2012, 13, 14, and 15, the committee was at the Planning Commission, at the Regional Service Commission. Here in Beldoon, there were 5 residents or 5 areas that were tore down because the appeals committee was in Petit Rocher. My point to all that is that now that the appeals committee needs to be in Beldoon, we have the onus on maybe friends, neighbors, uncles, aunts, making decisions that would impact some of their relatives. So with that said, it comes down to that I know for a fact that 5 residents were tore down during that time period. One of them was done by the owner, which he did very well. The other 4 were done through the Village of Beldoon and the Appeals Committee, and it went to the Appeals Committee, and the Appeals Committee upheld that. Those residents were tore down. The expense of that was sent to the province, and the province did reimburse the village for the expense of tearing it down, and they issued a lien on the property to the property owner. So my point to all this is basically the citizens need to realize that if they do want to clean up our community with the residents that are here, they must step forward. I know I'm on council, so I can't be there. But with that said, if I had a residence that I considered deteriorated, and I was not on council, I would be on that committee just to make sure that it got done. So I guess my plea is that the citizens need to realize that you cannot get this done without an appeals board. And we need the citizens to recognize those who want to clean up our community must step forward and be part of that action. So please step forward and make our community a better place to live.
Anyone else?
CAO, can I ask you, with the other 5 homes, and they were appealed, is that what happened? They appealed the process?
Yes, they did, yep.
And how long do we have to sit on that appeal? Like,
That appeal has to be overviewed by the appeals committee.
oh, so nothing can be done until that committee is in place to get these homes taken care of? Okay.
Exactly,
thanks.
yeah. So, and just very high level, in the last file that council began on this, the process is that there's a courtesy letter that goes out first. There were 7 homes identified by council in whatever capacity. One of the homes was actioned just by means of the courtesy letter. So there wasn't an order that was issued for that. So of the 7, 1 was resolved by the property owner after receiving the courtesy letter. The order to comply went out to 6 after that, and 5 appealed.
Anyone else?
Yeah, this is an extremely frustrating file because people have been waiting for action on this for a very long time, because those letters went out in December of 2022, and those homes are still there. The first appeals committee, we put out notices in June of 2023. So we're another full year beyond that. Like, it is beyond time to start moving this forward. And it's like, I think it's another one of those files that just kind of gets lost in the shuffle, and it can't. Like, we've promised people that we were going to deal with properties all over the village, and it's really, it's unfair to them, and then to move a file forward, because the process is the same, regardless, the first 5 or the 6th, the process is the same. So suddenly we can move one forward, but not the other 5, is unfair to the people who have been sitting there asking us since December to deal with these. Well, actually, December 22 was actually started in 2021. So I don't know, I think it's time to stop making excuses about not having committees and start finding committees.
So, yeah, totally agree. I think we're beyond the best before date on that. We need these things actioned. That's all. I have a question, Councilor Burke. If it was working well, and it sounds like the appeals committee at the Service Commission was working well, when did it stop and why?
It stopped in, I think during the term 2017, 2018, they changed it that the appeals committee must be local now. And in all honesty, I believe it was a question that the appeals board or the planning commission basically wanted to relinquish some of their responsibility to, and I think that was basically the motivation behind it, as far as I'm concerned. But at the end of the day, the citizens of our community who believe we need to clean it up must come forward and be part of the committee. At the end of the day, the legality of not having an appeals board has brought everything to a halt. So until the citizens have taken action, nothing is going to happen. So again, all I can say is, if this is of something that is of concern to the people out there, then those people must step forward and be involved. It's the only way we will be able to move these files forward.
Well, and I'm going to echo that and take a last word and say, for all the people in our municipality who have written concerned about nearby properties that they find are unsightly, here's your opportunity to get some action done by putting your name forward for this committee. Because if we don't get this appeals committee filled out, obviously nothing's not going to work. So get your name in. That's it for me. Next up is, I believe, Administration reports. CEO Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have the social environmental grant report. So there's motion 55. The donations would be $250 to the Charlotte Fall Fair and the $500 to the DRHS Perseverance Award.
Okay, so we have a motion there, -55, if somebody would move.
M 2024-06-24-55, that the social and environmental report for June 2024 is accepted as presented and recommendation approved, $250 to the Charlotte Fall Fair, $500 to the DRHS Perseverance Award.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Sure, yeah.
Just quickly, I did capture this in the report, but we also had a notice from the Tim Hortons franchise out of Bathurst letting us know about the Tim Hortons Camp Day. So on July the 17th, it was not a donation request in the sense of a monetary contribution, but they did want for everyone to know that 100% of the proceeds that they receive on, July 17th will go to the Tim Hortons Camp Day, I believe it is.
Okay, thank you. Clerk Treasurer Culligan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Financial report for the end of May, for May 2024. So in the general operating fund, we started the month with $1,033,679.34. We had some general deposits of $408,180.21, arena deposits of $4,067.01, and interest of $6,045.76, for total deposits of $418,292.98. We issued checks, including payroll, of $341,083.14. We had some direct payments, $4,108.07, payment to Service New Brunswick of $10, and WorkSafe New Brunswick of $1,505.02. We had $11.43 in bank charges and a MasterCard payment of $10,073.25. At the end of May, we had outstanding checks of $88,814.65. That brought the balance to $1,172,586.73. In the capital reserve account, there was a balance of $2,890,099.47. In the capital operating reserve account, there was a balance of $222,081.59. Excuse me. And the gas tax fund balance was $702,350.78. The current accounts payable listing at the end of May was $77,645.58, and the accounts receivable balance was $28,473.61. For the utility operating fund, we had a balance forward $9,344.65. We had deposits of $2,775.04, and we earned interest of $38.97. There were checks issued in the month of May for $5,481.11, and at the end of May, we had $46 in outstanding checks. That brought our current account balance at the end of May to $6,585.55. The capital reserve account balance was $90,484.72. The operating reserve account balance at the end of May, $3,921.78. And the trust account balance, $31,631.34. The accounts payable at the end of May, $314.93. And the accounts receivable in total at the end of May, $9,637.68.
Thank you, Clerk Treasurer. We have a related motion there, if someone would move.
M 2024-06-24-56, that the financial report be accepted and presented and the accounts payable be paid.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second it.
All those on the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Next, we have motions and resolutions. 9.1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first item is a resolution on the subunit taxation. This came from a request that was made about having a revised tax zone in Beldoon. There was some communication kind of back and forth. I know that there was some councillors that did prefer to have a resolution on the agenda, and the advice that we did receive from legal was that to have a resolution it was something that administration or council could revert back to, down the road, as opposed to not necessarily actioning this. So the recommendation was that there was a resolution passed by council. So there is a whereas clause associated to this, and there are two options. Either that council has decided not to action the request, or that staff be further directed to implement. So the mover will need to move one of those two options.
Okay, so do we have a mover for one of those options?
M 2024-06-24-57, whereas council has received a request for revised taxation for unserviced or private areas, and whereas council has considered this request, be it resolved that council has decided not to action this request.
Do I have a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question?
I just have something to say about it. I think it's imperative that council consider this request seriously. When we were at the UMNB, there were 4 presentations last year on housing and how to attract residents to your area, how to attract developments to your area. And 2 of those presentations specifically talked about taxation and incentives on developments. And I know a lot of those were more speaking of multi-unit developments, but that's not what Beldoon has to offer. If somebody wants to build a single family dwelling, then we should be welcoming that. And as I've said before, the development that people want is along the bay or the other side of the tracks, for lack of a better way of putting it. But we need to start looking at ways to attract people to our community, and you can't tell people that they are not equal in terms of services that are provided to them. So I think when you can't provide a certain service, then they should be compensated in some way for the lack of services that they're getting. The additional expenses of plowing, of moving their own garbage, whatever, we need to consider helping residents out in those aspects. And I know we can say they knew when they built their house that they were unserviced, but it doesn't mean they shouldn't be compensated for where they've chose to put their house. Do you know what I mean?
Our tax base is one of the lowest tax base there is everywhere. I just feel that it's really the province that's driving up the cost of their taxes, because the evaluation, if there's an issue, it should be the province, and they should be contacting the province, because really, we can't lower our tax base. And actually, we're in the process of doing our yearly budget, and we haven't touched the tax base for years.
Okay.
Can I just say one more thing? We can have the lowest tax base. We also have like an extremely declining population. So we can say we have a low tax base. We also have very low development, right? So those are issues that we really need to start thinking about, because our population is not increasing. People are not moving here because we have a low tax base. Do you know what I mean? We need to start looking outside of the box and trying to figure out how to attract people here. And alienating 5% of your population or 5% of your homes is not a great message to be sending. And it is 5% of residents are living in unserviced areas.
Councilor McDonnell, Guitar McDonnell, it's your motion. You have the last word if you wish.
I see both sides to this, I really do, and I understand the development process that you're talking about. However, to implement a program to encourage people to come doesn't mean they're all going to live along the waterfront. If we're going to develop, we have to develop with land that we have and use resources that we have. Unfortunately, I can't move on that. I'm sorry.
Well, we have a motion on the table, so let's deal with the motion. Be resolved that council has decided not to take action on this request. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed.
The next resolution that we have is the one that we spoke about briefly for the dangerous and unsightly residents at 821 Archibald Road, PID 503-66889. There is motion 58. It is a rather long one, but this is effectively to take the next step in the cleanup process on that pit.
Okay, so we need to read the entire motion if someone would volunteer to move.
I guess I'll move it. M 2024-06-24-58, whereas dangerous and unsightly premises are regulated bylaws number DUP 09-2020, a bylaw of the Village of Beldoon respecting dangerous and/or unsightly premises and whereas a notice of comply was registered against a property located at 156 Water Street and identified by PID 503-66889, registration number 44999-499, as a result of the condition described in the notice to comply. And whereas the notice to comply was served on May 2nd, 2024 by Mr. Marcel Dueron, Bylaw Enforcement Officer. Be it resolved that Council authorize Marcel Dueron as well as any authorized person deemed necessary by Mr. Dueron to assist him to undertake the remedial works described in the notices to comply registered against the property identified by the PID 503-66889 as number 44999-499 on June 4th, 2024. In order to ensure compliance with the bylaw number DUP 09-2020, a bylaw of the Village of Beldoon respecting dangerous and/or unsightly premises, and the Local Government Acts. Be it resolved that Council authorize staff to undertake the necessary steps to recover all related fees and disbursement by attempting to collect or, if required, sending a request to the Minister of Finance for this unpaid debt and interest in accordance by the authority described in the Local Government Act.
Okay. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, I have a question. I just sort of noticed quickly, I just skimmed over the address, 156 Water Street.
No, sorry, that's where it was registered, I believe. The actual address is 821 Archibald Road.
Okay. All right, with that then, if there are no other questions, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed.
The next item is for the cancellation of the July 2024 Committee of Whole and regular council meetings. There's motion number 59.
Okay, do we have a mover?
M 2024-06-24-59, that the Village of Beldoon cancel schedule Committee of Whole and regular meeting for the month of July 2024.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye.
I
All
had-
those
No,
opposed?
I had
Oh,
something I wanted to
sorry,
say
sorry.
about that. This has become one of my big frustrations, is the cancellation and rescheduling of meetings. I've complained about it over and over again. We have issues that need to be addressed in a timely manner, and we are postponing meetings and canceling meetings on a more regular basis than we're having them when they're actually scheduled. It's extremely frustrating to me with rescheduled meetings. It's frustrating to the public. We have to have special meetings because we're canceling regular meetings and then having them a week later. The bylaw states when our meetings are supposed to be held. Why are we not respecting the bylaws?
Anyone on council? I'll just, for me, July meetings, I don't think we're the only municipality, maybe we are, but I would probably think if there was a month where municipalities were taking a month off, it would be July, would allow council members to, although they can do council meetings electronically, sometimes they would prefer to be here in person. And so, I mean, you're right, frustration, especially before and after, immediately after COVID, we did cancel a lot, but I think we've been pretty good with meetings as of late. Anyway, that's my impression. I don't see a terrible issue with the month of July, and I think it helps administration in a sense too. But that's just my opinion.
We haven't been really good with meeting schedules. We scheduled committee of whole meeting and the regular meeting on the same night this month and last month. Our regular meeting was supposed to be last week. It's this week. We've got a special meeting coming up. The accounts were supposed to present at last week. They're not available this week, so we're going to have a special meeting for that. There are issues that need to be resolved in the village that are getting postponed because we're not sitting at the table to move the issues forward. We've got files that are behind, and there's a schedule that should be respected. And I understand some places take July off, that's great, then put it in the bylaw. But we can't keep canceling and rescheduling meetings and deciding every June that we're going to cancel July meetings because we've done it twice already.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
If I may, Your Worship. I have to agree 1,000% with Councillor Robinson's statement. At the end of the day, meetings are scheduled. That should be it. If you can't make it, too bad. As far as I'm concerned, my schedule is done according to the schedule of meetings, and if one person can't make it, too bad. I have to agree that once the schedule is made, that's the schedule every councillor should respect, and if they can't make it, so be it. So I do agree with that statement.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, to the vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Do we have a tie? So I break the tie. Just want to make sure. Aye. Motion passed.
M 2024-06-24-60, that the mileage rate be changed from 45 cents a kilometer to the provincial rate, and that the council remuneration bylaw and any other impacted policy or bylaw be updated accordingly.
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Dash 61. This is concerning the UMNB conference.
Okay?
Yep.
M 2024-06-24-61, that council approve for any members of council and staff to attend the annual UMNB conference in Beldoon, October 4th to 6th. Fredericton, I'm sorry, Fredericton, October 4th to 6th, 2024.
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Do we have a deadline in terms of when the names have to be given? Has that gone past?
I think that the registration just recently opened. We've already got the block of rooms booked. We had booked those sort of ahead of time. But as far as the registration part, I had sent an email out to council this week, or last week, sorry, just to get an idea of who wanted to go. So I think I've heard back from most everyone, so we're gonna go ahead with the registration this week, and we've already got the rooms covered.
That sounds good. And just on a related note, before we close and dealing with this, I think most of us have had this discussion that, but just for public knowledge and public consumption, the Village of Beldoon, in my opinion, doesn't take part in enough conferences. It doesn't allow us to network like we should. We missed out on opportunities to meet with ministers and other people that could help us. I think there's always a fear, and I know this goes back to my last council, we're always fearful of the public thinking that we were just wanted to take a weekend off on the public dime. It's not that. We need to be more involved. The councils in Bathurst, they're everywhere. Some of the other, you go to any of the municipalities, they converse with you and with us about conferences that they've been at. And how many have I had to say, well, we weren't there. And it's not good business. We need to be more visible. We need to be more aggressive, and we need to be more, we need to take part more in some of these. So hopefully this will be part of a trend where we get out there and try and bring some good things to the village, and these conferences allow for that opportunity. So I think we need to stop having this idea that it's about taking, it's not. It's about being more visible and having Beldoon there. And that's what we need to do more of, in my opinion. If other council members would add to that, I'd appreciate it.
I do agree. They're going to a lot more conference than what we are. We've been kind of stepping back from that, and I think it's very good that we do attend. They have an annual conference in other areas that we have in this council has not any of the council that attended, and I feel that it's important that we do, and also staff. That's where you get the networking. That's where you get the information. It's at these conferences. So it's really, we need to step up to this.
Anyone else?
Just a general comment, if I may, Your Worship. It's all been said. All I want to do is make sure publicly that I agree with the statement 100%. Representation and networking with, fellow councilors, other municipalities is the backbone and the structure to information that you may not be aware of. There's not a conference that you would go to that you wouldn't come home with something you were not aware of. So I agree 100% that we need to be there.
Anyone else? Okay. With that, then, we will, general correspondence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just real briefly, for the correspondence, we had the SPCA report from May 2024. We had the RCMP quarterly report that was submitted. We had the Mad Message yearbook, which was a contribution from the Village of Beldoon, and we also had the Universal Rail System track inspection for the month of May.
Okay. Thank you. And then with that, I guess we adjourn. If we can get a motion for that, it'd be appreciated.
M 2024-0624-62, that the meeting adjourn at 8:38.
Let me get a seconder.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Thank you, everyone.